the show must go on, I guess, because um I've had a lot of setbacks and I really feel stuck. I think that part of that is because I am all cardinal signs. For my three mains, I am cardinal. And I think that what that does for me is I am very motivated and inspired to try something new. And so I'm always excited to start something new. But the follow through is very difficult for me. So trying to follow through with this series is not easy. But I do want to, in order to become a more fully rounded person, a more well rounded person, um, I do need to lean into finishing things. So I am going to try to finish this series as I go. So here we are, and right now, the last video I think I did in talking about my life is I was finishing up right before starting college. So right after my childhood school career. And so I just want to wrap up everything. I feel like I've lived many, many lives in one life, which I think is really unique. And it felt like I was living multiple lives. And I loved it at my grandma's. My grandma's, it felt like home. It felt warm and safe and inviting and comforting. And I was able to just let my creative mind flow. And my grandma would get me all kinds of stuff like beadwork stuff, and she would let me really explore and be creative. And I love that. But at my mom's, which is what this video is going to be about, is my mom. Okay, I'm grateful for all of my upbringing. I'm grateful for all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty. I am so grateful for all of it because, again, to be well rounded, you embrace all of it. You embrace the light and you embrace the dark. My shadow's right over here. Shadow's with me, like not really in there, but you know what I mean. So, yeah, my mother's house was always very clean and organized, and my grandmother's house was also very clean and organized, but my grandmother was just working 24/7 to do it. She would even take time out to play with me every now and then, but most of the time she was working cleaning her house, and it was always clean and organized. And this gave me a sense and a feeling of cleanliness is important. Cleanliness is healthiness. But at my mother's, it was a little bit different because it was like clean and organized, and if anything gets out of place, it's your fault and you should be attacked for it. And the attacks would not be like horrible direct attacks, but they would be like, emotional abuse and yelling, screaming, throwing fits, and getting angry, and sometimes, even trying to spank, but she wasn't really good at it. And so, but yeah, my mother would throw a fit if anything was out of place, anything. And so I kind of learned at her house to walk on eggshells and to keep everything in pristine order. I don't know. There was like always a feeling of elegance, though, that I loved at my mother's house. And my mother, she was very much a free spirit. And I loved that. I loved that she showed me and gave me that. Because I'm able to tap into my free spirit and to see that I don't have to be tied down here. I can actually fly, you know? My mother had gotten a lot of money, and I was excited about that. And I was very judgmental of her and how she would spend her money. I always felt like she spent her money wrong. And really, it wasn't my place to say how she spent her money. But she decided to, and this was like right after her divorce with my brother's dad. And she decided, and before she got remarried, so I was still a child, and she decided with her money to get buy a ski vacation for her, me, and my brother. And she bought us train tickets all the way to the ski lodge. and time at the ski lodge, and she bought like restaurant reservations and stuff like that, and like everything, like the whole ski rental and everything, so that we could go skiing. And my brother didn't want to go skiing, he went snowboarding. But yeah, I was so judgmental of her. I was like, I can't believe that that's what she spent her money on. And then whenever I took the trip, it was so beautiful. And I'm so glad that I took that trip. Being on a train, I'm so glad that I had that memory, and learning to ski and knowing that I mean, just the whole trip was beautiful. It was such a wonderful bonding experience with my mother and my brother. And yeah, and on the train, I met a pen pal, a friend who was traveling with her family. And it was so cool. And we kept in touch by writing letters for a couple years. So that was really, really, really cool. So I do remember one time with my mother. So she lived in a bunch of little different places in this big city, and we'll call it Spring City. And in Spring City, she lived downtown Spring City for a little while. And at that time, she was a stripper, and I loved it because she was making really good money, and we lived in just this beautiful, beautiful apartment with this most beautiful antique bath. And it in Spring City, they're known for their springs, and they have a bunch of bathhouses with their natural springs. Yeah, and so as a kid, I was young, I was an adolescent, and I was young, and I would go downtown like late at night and just walk downtown, and people would be like, what are you doing here? And I seen things that I probably shouldn't have seen, but I didn't mind. It was just like, oh, look. And what I mean by things is, I mean suffering and abuse and hardships, and just, it's everywhere. It really is. It's everywhere. And I noticed that staying in Spring City. And my mother would never take me to work with her, but I would get curious about how work would be. And there would be times that I would hang out with strippers, and I made friends with a lot of strippers. Yeah, so I made a lot of stripper friends, a lot of stripper friends, a lot of stripper friends in Spring City. I mean, friends that still to this day I could probably go and be like, hey girl, and she'd be like, girl, I've not seen you in so long, and just wonderful people, I think. And I seen what it's like to live in the underground. I saw that firsthand. I know that's what the dark side of reality is, what the dark side of our reality is. There's a whole nother system going on that has nothing to do with our modern day legal system. And I don't think most people know. And I'm just touching on it right now. And then, so yeah, these girls, whenever I started dating Zach, and during our on again, off again phase of my senior year, my senior year, our on again, off again phase, I started, whenever we were off, I would hang out with the stripper girls. And yeah, we would go to the mall and just rob them blind, y'all. It is not good. Not a good thing to do. And I've served my karma on this, as I think you might see. But yeah, we would just go to the mall, a bunch of girls. We'd have like a couple girls that are going to buy some clothes, and the rest of us go in the dressing room, and we just, we would put on clothes. We'd put clothes in our bags. I mean, we walk out there with so much stuff, and go home and laugh and, oh my goodness, and look at what all we got and go through it all. And it just, not healthy, and it didn't help anything. Later on, stores start crashing and burning, and because of girls like me, I wasn't the only one, and that doesn't excuse it, but it wasn't just my group in Spring City either. This is across the nation. Teenage girls were just robbing malls blind. And we would throw parties. We would party down. It was so crazy. I remember this one time where Zach, because we were on again, off again, we were on again, and the girls wanted to hang out, and I was like, okay, but I don't want to, press too many buttons. And I told him about the party. I was like, we don't have to go. And he was like, yeah, we can go. And then he shows up at the party, and, you know, I'm already kind of getting lit. I've been hanging out with my girls all day. And these are stripper girls, you know? And he's like, that's it. We're done. I'm done. We're done. And he said, we're broken up. And I was like, okay. And because I was feeling good. So I was like, okay, bye. And I went to the dance floor and started dancing with this guy. And it's so funny because I think the girls put this song on, but they put on, if you like it, you should have put a ring on it. If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. And oh my gosh, Zach got so mad. He turned around and he dumped water all over me. And of course, the guys, you know, jumped him and kicked him out. And then I was just like on that night. I mean, it was lit. So, I mean, I don't know. So, yeah, and at my mom's house, there was always a bunch of what you call hippies around. So I got to see how their lifestyle is. And I think that I've touched on that in my series already. But yeah, my mom's house, it was a different type of atmosphere. It was, you know, for me, it's like ghetto meets hippie because it was very ghetto, like very much in the ghetto. I saw the lows of the lows. I was there, like, it's like nobody noticed me, but I was there. And then there was the hippies, the love and love Mother Earth, and I'll show you how. And I live the love of Earth. And, you know, it's like they live outside of the system. And it showed me that the system is not all that there is. And my grandmother's system, and my grandmother's house, it was very much in the system. It was, you do everything by the system. If you want things to go good for you, you have to do it by the system. But here I am at my mother's house seeing two different versions of realities that don't go by the system, and it can be good for them. You know, I could see how it was good for them. It was good for them. I wouldn't say it's like the best, but it was good for them. I think that the thieving stripper lifestyle, though, it really does bring a lot more hardships than would be necessary, than a person would want. But some people want that. Some people want the hardships. So, I mean, I think that it is very good. And the hippie Mother Earth lifestyle, love and earth lifestyle, I think brings a lot more rewards. And it's a lot like those that live within the system and enjoy it. The only harsh part is that y'all that live in the system discriminate so hard against the hippies, the love and earth lifestyle, because of a misunderstanding. You don't understand. You think that they're out for harm. Most people in the system have been brainwashed to believe that concert goers are hippie or loving earth lifestylers. They're not the same people. And it's really a shame that y'all have decided that people that want to love life, love earth, and live in a beautiful way are criminals. But that's for another day. And again, I thank you guys so much for being here and listening to my story. Thank you for listening to my little sprinkles today. This is a sprinkle of my mama's side. And next video will be the sprinkle of my daddy's side. So we'll see how that goes. But this is where my mystic side comes in. I learned a lot of my mystic stuff at my mom's. I ran into people walking the downtown Spring City. I ran into a lot of wise people, and I listened. I sat down with them and I listened and I learned. And it's where, it's where the mystic side of Mystic Hillbilly comes in. And I love the mystic side, and I'm so grateful for it. Therefore, I'm so grateful for my mother and the role that she played. I'm beyond grateful for her. And hopefully one day she'll know that, and I think that she will. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here, and as always, be blessed with love. My story. That's all she got.